Rode has been in the wireless microphone market for years now, but one thing they did not have was a kit that fits into a specific niche that's become more popular in 2024. Tiny and simple to use wireless mics that cater to smartphone content creators. Enter the Wireless Micro, Rode's offering in the market of compact, plug-and-play wireless mics. Rode makes my favorite full-featured 2.4 GHz wireless mic kit, so let's see if they also now make my favorite minimal USB wireless mic. Before we dive in, I want to mention that Rode sent me the Wireless Micro for the purpose of reviewing it. I was not paid to make this video, and Rode has no input on my review. I do have a couple affiliate links in the description for you if you decide to pick up the Wireless Micro and you'd like to support this channel. All right, so let's dive in and talk about what you get with the Wireless Micro. The audio you're hearing right now is the Wireless Micro recording into my iPhone 16 Pro Max using the Rode Reporter app, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. I'm using my phone here because I can't use my camera. Traditionally, I would record a new wireless mic kit straight into my Panasonic Lumix S5 II. However, this kit is made for smartphone content creators, and there is no option for a receiver that has a 3.5mm output or an analog output. There's only a USB receiver. It's either USB-C or Lightning. No post-processing will be applied to the audio, but I will normalize all the audio in this video to -16 LUFS, and I will use a limiter to make sure I don't have any clipping, but there won't be any extra EQ or compression or anything added in post. Now for the USB-C kit, which is the one that we're using here, the receiver is very small, and I have been able to use it with both the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the Google Pixel 7a with a case on them, but I do have pretty thin cases, so your result there may vary if you have a really thick case, but I haven't had an issue using it with a couple of different cases between those two phones. As I mentioned, there are USB-C and Lightning kits available, and the kit includes 2 transmitters with clips and magnets, 1 receiver, a charging case that holds all 3, a short USB-C to USB-C cable for charging, and a pair of wind muffs that fit over the transmitters. The charging case is not much bigger than an AirPod case, which is pretty cool, but there is kind of a small catch here. We'll talk about that later. The transmitters weigh only 12 grams. They contain an omnidirectional mic and automatically power on and pair with the receiver once it's plugged into a device. There are only a couple of settings to control with the Wireless Micro, which you have to do using software. There are no physical buttons or dials on the transmitters or receiver. I'll put the technical specs on the screen so you can see them. The conversion is 24-bit at 48 kilohertz, and the signal-to-noise ratio is 73 dB. The max SPL is 135 dB, which is very loud, and that means you can use these mics in loud environments without overdriving the capsule. However, please wear hearing protection if you're for some reason recording in environments that are that loud. The stated range is over 100 meters or 328 feet, and the battery life of the transmitter is 7 hours per charge. The charging case can give you up to 2 full charges, so you can get about 21 hours of total use time without having to plug in the case to charge it. The receiver doesn't use any battery power, it just draws power from whatever you have it connected to. Now the USB-C version is the most versatile because it will work with smartphones, tablets, computers, even devices like the DJI Pocket 3, which we will test later. Let's talk about the available settings that you do have for the Wireless Micro and where you can change them. On a mobile device, there are a few Rode apps that have settings control, and that would be Rode Central, Rode Reporter, and Rode Capture, which is their video recording app. All 3 of those have the settings and controls for the Wireless Micro. On a desktop, you also have Rode Central as well as Rode Connect in order to change the settings, so you can change them on a computer also. Now, using Rode Central, both the receiver and the transmitter appear when they are connected. The only setting for the transmitter is the brightness level of the LED, which stays solid green when you're connected. It will also turn yellow or red to let you know the battery level. There are 3 settings for the receiver, one of which is the same brightness control for the LEDs. There's also a routing setting which allows you to change between merged and split modes. When in merged mode, the audio is recorded as a mono signal even if both transmitters are connected, so you cannot edit the audio from the mics separately afterward. In split mode, the audio signal from each mic is recorded separately on the left and the right channel, so this is a stereo signal. This allows you to edit the audio from each mic separately afterward, which is helpful if you have 2 speakers and one of them coughs or something while the other one is talking. If you're using a third-party app to record like Blackmagic Camera, you also need to make sure that the audio is set to record in stereo or dual mono in that app that you're using. Otherwise, it could still be recorded as a mono track even when it's set to split mode. The only other setting we have is the output gain level. This one could be a little confusing here because Rode included their gain assist feature. That's Rode's version of automatic gain adjustment based on the sound level of the source. There's only 3 levels though, and I've been using it in the medium mode so far in this video, or the medium setting. Here's a quick sample of a recording done at each of the gain levels and then normalized to the same -16 LUFS afterward. This recording was done on the low gain setting and normalized in post. This recording was done on the medium setting and normalized in post. And this recording was done on the high gain setting and normalized in post. All right, now we're back on the medium gain setting. Ultimately in my testing, it didn't really seem like it mattered what output gain level I was using. The gain assist feature always seemed to adjust to avoid super quiet recordings or super loud or distorted recordings. But does that mean it will actually act as a limiter to prevent clipping? You tell me. This is the high gain setting and I'm yelling right into the microphone capsule. By the way, even if gain assist was quick enough to make sure that didn't clip, that doesn't mean you won't ever encounter digital clipping here, because if you use this with a third-party app or like on your computer, you could still be gaining it up after the signal gets into your device and causing digital clipping. Always a good idea to do a test recording and listen back to make sure you're getting the right levels. Now, one more quick thing to point out here. All mics that you wear like a lav mic on your person are impacted by what's called a chin shadow. When the mic is positioned below your chin on your body, you lose some of the high frequency presence and you get more of a muffled sound. Several mics like this will compensate for that with a boost in the high frequencies. And that means if you do position it somewhere else, you'll get a very different sound from the mic. For example, this is the sound positioned on my shirt underneath my chin. And this is the sound holding it out in front of my mouth. There's a lot more presence in the high frequencies. You'll hear this again during the comparison later. I just wanted to point out why. All right, here's a quick test of the DJI Pocket 3 using the Rode Wireless Micro. Have the gain set to medium, have it connected directly to the back USB-C port on the Pocket 3. I do have the battery grip on here, which makes it just a little bit easier to kind of wrap your hand around it while you are walking. The transmitter is right down here with the wind muff on, and here's how it's sounding. I think this is definitely a viable audio solution for the Pocket 3. And just to show you that it does work on an Android phone, I'm now recording using my Google Pixel 7a. I'm recording it at 48 kilohertz. I'm not actually sure if it's Wave or AAC or something else, because on the Android Blackmagic camera, you can just choose the sample rate. So at least I know the sample rate is the same. Gain is set to medium. Let me know what it sounds like if you hear a difference between recording it on an Android phone versus the iPhone using Blackmagic camera. All right, now we're gonna do our range test for the wireless micro. Now, Rode states that the range is over 100 meters. We have over 100 meters behind us here, so we're gonna test that. And at the same time, I'm also wearing the Hollyland Lark M2 because I wanna see how the range compares. Hollyland states this has up to 300 meters of range. We're not gonna be able to go that far, but I wanna see if one of these starts to break up before the others, because they do have different stated ranges. I'm recording the Lark M2 into my Google Pixel 7a separately using the Rode Reporter app. So we'll cut back and forth between the auto and see which one breaks up first. Now, this is only 10 meters away from the camera. No doubt that these should be working both just fine at 10 meters away. Let's up the distance. All right, we're now 25 meters away from the camera, direct line of sight for both of these transmitters to their receivers. All right, this is 50 meters away from the camera, and at this distance, I probably am already very small in the frame, but both of these in theory should be working okay. By the way, it's a little breezy today and I have the wind muffs on both of these. I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna turn my back to the camera. All right, my back is next to the camera. And at 50 meters, are these breaking up with my back to the camera? Now, if the signal did break up when I turned around, that's also an indication of how important it is for that direct line of sight, because my body was serving as an obstruction. All right, I am now 100 meters away from my iPhone from the receiver. Now, this is the stated range. Well, Rode actually says it's over 100 meters, but let's cut back and forth between the Lark M2 and the wireless micro at 100 meters and see if either one is breaking up with a clear line of sight. Now I'm gonna turn around and turn my back camera. I signal breaking up with my back turned around. Now I'm facing the camera again. Does either one sound like they have a stronger signal? All right, this is 110 meters, and since Rode stated that the range is over 100 meters, I just wanted to go a little bit over 100 and see if it's still working. So this is 110 meters. This is where I'm curious because the Lark M2 stated range is 300 meters. I'm only at half the maximum stated range of the Lark M2. All right, and now I'm all the way at 200 meters. This is just about as far away as I can get here. This is the end of our range test at 200 meters. All right, now before we talk about my overall impressions of the wireless micro, let's do a quick comparison to a couple of competitors and the big brother of the wireless micro. In front of me, we've got transmitters for the wireless micro, the Hollyland Lark M2, the SmallRig S60, which I just got and haven't reviewed yet, and the Rode Wireless Pro. I'll put the prices of all of these up on the screen so you can see the price ranges we have here. I'm recording all of these at the same time by connecting the receivers over USB to my MacBook, and I'm recording them all using an app called Audio Hijack. Now they are all positioned below my mouth, but because I'm not wearing them under my chin, you're gonna hear a little bit more of the high frequencies than you would if you were actually wearing them, so just keep that in mind. The reason that the Wireless Pro is here is just to give you a sample of what a higher priced mic kit offers for comparison, not because it's necessarily a direct competitor to the Wireless Micro. So let's start with the Lark M2 here. This was one of the first mic kits on the market to offer the tiny little button style transmitters that are super easy to use but also still have good audio quality. They offer multiple versions of the kit. You can get just the USB-C receiver, just the Lightning receiver, just the camera receiver, or a combo kit that has all of them. And the camera receiver has the 3.5mm output in addition to USB. At the time of recording this, the combo kit with all the receivers is $139, and the individual receiver kits are $10 or $20 less. So it is more affordable than the Wireless Micro. The M2 also offers built-in noise reduction, and it comes with a charging case. One important difference with this one is that you cannot record both transmitters in stereo mode over USB, only over the 3.5mm output. When using both mics and the USB receiver, it can only be done in merged mode. Next up, we have the SmallRig S60, which was a recent release. These look eerily similar to the Lark M2's round button style. They also are 24-bit and have built-in noise reduction, but the difference for this one is that it's only available with the mini USB-C receiver. So just like the Wireless Micro, it's intended for use with smartphones, tablets, and computers. It also comes with a charging case, a few accessories, and the settings are very basic. It does, however, also have USB power delivery through the receiver, and the Lark M2 does too, if I didn't say that earlier. However, it does not have any stereo recording mode. It's only recording in merged mode for both of the microphones. The price of these, though, is lower at about $89. All right, now we have the Wireless Pro, which has a retail price of $399. The two big differences besides the larger size and higher price are 32-bit float internal recording in the transmitter and a 3.5mm input so you can connect a lavalier mic to the transmitter if you don't want to wear the transmitter on you. Now the Wireless Pro is more than double the price of the Wireless Micro, but you do get more features, and they also get a more complete package with a pair of lav mics included and both USB and 3.5mm outputs. Of course, it's really not in the same corner of the market as the Wireless Micro. The target audience is different, and of course, the price is very different, but I still wanted to give you a sample for comparison. Let me know which of these mics you like the sound of best down in the comments, and also check the description for review videos for the Lark M2 and the Wireless Pro. All right, now for some pros and cons and my overall recommendation here. We'll start with the pros here. First of all, it is very compact and handy to have transmitters and a receiver as one unit here, which charges the transmitters. It's very easy for travel. You can slip it in a pocket. I mean, it is very handy, and I like that. It's also very simple and straightforward to use. Even though you do have that 3 gain level setting, you can just plug this into any device that takes USB-C or Lightning and just go, basically. Because in my testing, no matter what gain level I used, the automatic gain assist did some type of adjustment to make sure I wasn't getting super quiet or super loud recordings. So even though I did hear a little bit of a difference, possibly in some like baked in processing that was there in the high gain mode, it seems like it works for you no matter which setting you have it on, which makes it super simple. They did a great job with that. Now, a really big pro at this price point is the fact that you have stereo recording over USB. You have that split mode. That's important because other kits that are either in the same price range or cheaper, a lot of them that I've tested or seen, they don't offer this recording in split mode or stereo mode. And for some people, that's a deal breaker. So the fact that you get it for $150 here with the Wireless Micro, which is a lot less money than the more full featured kits like the Wireless Pro or the DJI Mic 2, that is a big pro for this kit. One other pro that I liked about just general use here with the wireless micro was the playback of audio with the receiver connected. And that's something that some other competitors do too. The Lark M2 and the S60 from SmallRig both allow this as well. But it is still a pro that you don't have to disconnect the receiver in order to hear sound through your phone's speakers. All right, there's one thing that I consider neutral, not a pro or a con, before we talk about cons, and that is the lack of a noise reduction feature built in. Some competitors, including the Lark M2 and the S60 from SmallRig, have a built-in noise reduction feature. You press a button and it turns on noise reduction. Now, I'm calling it neutral that it's not included here, and I'm not saying that this is a con because it just doesn't sound good on any kit in this price range that I have ever used. And that includes the Lark M2 and the SmallRig S60. Is it usable if you have to use it? Sure it is. But you're not gonna get like video recording quality audio that's actually good to work with in post. It's full of digital artifacts. You could absolutely feel differently about that, and that would be fair. But for me, it's not a con that it's not there, because I've yet to actually find one that I would use. Now let's talk about the actual cons that I experienced. First of all, no power delivery on the receiver here. The Lark M2 and the SmallRig S60 both have a USB-C power delivery port, even on their tiny little receiver. And it's basically the same size as the wireless micro, but Rode didn't give us one of those. So that means if you plug this directly into your phone, you can't charge your phone unless you happen to also have a wireless charger to use with like MagSafe. All right, another con here is that the range is a little bit shorter than some of the competition. Now the Lark M2 for me, it works, but even with a clear line of sight, I have gotten occasional signal breakups once I get to 150 or further. And so it's not like the competition is absolutely amazing all the way at 300 meters or something like that, but I have to kind of count it as a con because there are competitors at the same price range or even less that do work at slightly longer distances. Now the rest of the cons I have are all pretty small, minor things, but I have to mention them. So one of them is that while these transmitters are very small, much smaller than the Rode Wireless Go 2 and Wireless Pro, the transmitter is actually larger than competitors in this space that have been out for a while, like the Hollyland Lark M2. I mean, it's very hard to beat the size of that transmitter. It's super thin, super small, and it's also a couple of grams lighter than this transmitter. So while this is absolutely smaller and less conspicuous than the Wireless Pro, it's not as small as some competitors. All right, next con, there is no option for a 3.5 millimeter output. With the Hollyland Lark M2, they give you all these different kits you can buy, and they have a camera receiver that has an analog output 3.5 millimeter. So if you do use mirrorless cameras, you've got a receiver that works. That's just not an option with the wireless micro. So if you use mirrorless cameras, you cannot get it straight into the camera. Now another little thing here, we still have a glossy finish on these transmitters. You may be noticing it even in this video if I move around a little bit, that my lights will reflect off of the glossy finish here. So yeah, it's 2024 and almost 2025, and we're still talking about putting gaff tape on things. That's a little bit annoying, but again, it is a little thing. Now another small con here that I do personally find annoying is the catch that I alluded to much earlier in this video about how compact the case is. There's only room in here for the receiver and the two transmitters. There's no room for accessories in here, and Rode does not include any type of pouch or case for the other accessories. Remember, you're gonna have a little USB-C to USB-C cable and a pair of the wind muffs that fit over the transmitter bodies, but there's nowhere to put those. They don't fit in here. There's no other pouch or case, like I said, so you just have to carry those loosely in your hand like a weirdo, or stuff them in your pocket, or lose them. I'm annoyed with that. All right, that's it for pros and cons. Now let's consider the price. For $150, do I recommend the wireless micro? Well, honestly, even though none of the cons individually feel like deal breakers to me personally, it is difficult for me to recommend in all cases. The one big advantage it has over the Lark M2 is the split recording mode over USB. So if you're going to be using it with two people most or all of the time, then I do recommend it, because at this price, it's hard to find several other options that also do that. However, if you're a solo content creator and rarely or never plan on using both mics at the same time, the Lark M2 I think has a couple advantages, like the power delivery through the receiver, a thinner transmitter, as well as having a camera receiver available for your mirrorless cameras, not to mention a lower price. Now the wireless micro is less than half the price of the Wireless Pro, which is my favorite full-featured 2.4 gigahertz wireless mic kit, but unfortunately, I don't think the wireless micro has really earned the top spot as my favorite minimal wireless mic. There's plenty of competition in this space, and some of the options out there were already good at a very fair price. So that's what makes it difficult for me to say in all cases I definitely recommend this, and hopefully that makes sense. It's not because this is a bad product at all, it's just because of how much competition there already is. All right, so that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you think of the wireless micro. Let me know if you pick one up for yourself and how you're liking it. Don't forget to subscribe to the Semi-Pro Tech & Gear channel, and while you're here, wanted to check out one of these videos. I know you'll enjoy it. Thanks everybody. See you next time.